The battlefield stretched for miles, a ruined wasteland of broken ships, collapsed buildings, and the remains of warriors who had fought and died for centuries. The sky was thick with smoke, and the air smelled of burning metal and plasma fire. Two great armies stood on opposite sides, their weapons raised, their hatred for each other boiling. The Draxor, a race of towering reptilian warriors, growled in anticipation of the next charge. Their black armor gleamed under the red light of their warships hovering above. Their enemies, the Velari, stood just as ready, sleek, humanoid figures with glowing blue veins beneath their pale skin. Their armor pulsed with energy, and their weapons hummed with deadly power. They had fought for 100 years, and neither side had ever considered peace. Then, a sound cut through the battlefield, a sound that did not belong. A cry. A small, frightened voice echoed through the ruins, carried by the wind and picked up by the comms of both armies. It was not a warrior's scream. It was not the sound of a dying soldier. It was a human child's voice. "Please, help me." For the first time in history, both armies froze. Weapons remained raised, but no one fired. Even the most ruthless warriors hesitated. How was a human child here? There were no humans in this war. The species of Earth were still considered primitive, barely spacefaring, and had no place in this conflict. Yet, the child's voice came again, weak, trembling. "I'm scared." A silence spread across the battlefield. It was unnatural, eerie. The Draxor and the Velari had slaughtered each other without mercy for a century. Yet now, at the sound of a single child's cry, they hesitated. Then, both commanders spoke at the same time. "Find the child. The search begins." The war was forgotten. For now. Both sides sent their fastest scouts into the ruins, moving carefully through the wreckage, their advanced scanners sweeping for life signs. Draxor warrior Jorek moved swiftly, his sharp claws clicking against the cracked ground. His people were not known for compassion, but he had younglings back home. A child's cry was universal. It triggered something primal, something beyond war. On the other side, Velari Captain Selena sprinted through the ruins, her energy rifle scanning every shadow. The Velari were not kind beings, but even they had a code. A child was innocent, no matter its species. The ruins were vast, dangerous. Collapsed structures loomed over them, their shadows deep and threatening. Something about this place felt wrong. The further they searched, the colder the air became. Then, another whisper came through the comms. "Please, someone is here. They're watching me." Both Jorek and Selena stopped, their eyes narrowing. Who? A race against time. Now, it was no longer just a search, it was a race. Selena's boots crunched against shattered glass as she ran deeper into the ruins, her heart pounding. She could hear the heavy footsteps of the Draxor warriors in the distance. They were fast. If they reached the child first, what would they do? Jorek's instincts screamed at him to hurry. The Velari were known for their manipulation. If they reached the child first, would they take it hostage? Would they use it as a bargaining tool? But then, something far worse became clear. The child's breathing was ragged, uneven. Something else was near it. Something that didn't belong to either army. "Please, they're getting closer." Selena stopped in her tracks, her fingers tightening on her rifle. Jorek bared his fangs, his claws flexing. Something was already hunting the child. And it wasn't them. The ruins were deathly silent now. The only sounds were the distant crackling of fires, the occasional creak of unstable metal, and the soft whisper of wind moving through broken structures. But there was something else too, something that neither Jorek nor Selena could explain. A presence. Jorek's reptilian eyes scanned the darkness as he moved forward, his massive claws gripping his plasma blade. The Velari were close. He could hear their soft footsteps, sense their energy weapons humming. But for the first time, he wasn't worried about them. Something else was here, something neither side understood. Selena felt it too. Her people had technology far beyond human capabilities, and yet she felt fear. It wasn't logical, but it was there. A deep, crawling sensation under her skin, like something unseen was watching, waiting. And the child's voice had gone silent. Then, "Please, help me." The voice was weak, barely more than a whisper. It came from deeper inside the ruins, in a collapsed section of an ancient structure. The walls were marked with symbols, old and worn, as if this place had once belonged to something else, something forgotten. Jorek and Selena locked eyes across the rubble. There was no war between them now. No words were needed. They had to find the child before something else did. The first sight. Jorek moved first, his massive frame stepping carefully over broken beams. His nostrils flared as he caught a scent. Human. Young. Frightened. He followed the smell, his claws gripping his weapon tightly. Selena was just behind him, her Velari armor scanning the area. Life sign detected. The scanner confirmed what she already knew. The child was here. And so was something else. They found the boy curled up inside a cracked escape pod, his tiny body shaking. Dirt and blood smeared his face. His clothes were torn. He looked no older than 6 human years, his eyes wide with terror as he clutched a small device to his chest. Jorek stepped forward first. He tried to soften his voice, but the deep growl in his throat made it hard. "You are safe now, little one." The boy flinched, pressing himself against the pod's cold metal. But it wasn't Jorek that he was afraid of. "It's behind you," the boy whispered. Selena's blood turned to ice. Jorek spun around, plasma blade raised. Selena's weapon locked on instantly. But there was nothing. Only the ruins, the broken metal, the shadows. The child shook his head violently. "No, no, no. It's there. Don't you see it?" Then the air changed. A wave of cold swept through the ruins, unnatural and suffocating. The shadows moved. The walls groaned. And for the first time, Jorek and Selena saw it. A shape, dark and shifting, its form twisting like smoke, yet moving with terrifying purpose. It had no face, no eyes, but it was watching. Jorek's instincts screamed at him to run. Selena's technology failed. Her scanner glitched. Her weapon flickered. Nothing should have been able to do that. The child grabbed Jorek's massive clawed hand, his fingers trembling. "Please, don't let it take me." Jorek tightened his grip. "Over my dead body, little one." The thing lurched forward, and the war-forged enemies prepared to fight together. The creature lunged, its form shifting like liquid darkness, moving faster than anything Jorek had ever faced in battle. His plasma blade slashed through the air, but it passed through the entity without resistance. Selena fired a pulse round, the energy crackling through the ruins, but it had no effect. The thing didn't just move, it flowed, twisting between the gaps of reality itself. Jorek grabbed the child and leaped back just as the creature's tendrils lashed out, striking where he had stood a fraction of a second before. The ground beneath him withered, the stone turning to dust upon contact. His scales bristled. This was no ordinary enemy. It wasn't a warrior. It wasn't even a predator. It was something else, something that didn't belong in this universe. Selena activated a defense shield, surrounding them in a shimmering blue dome. The entity halted just beyond its edge, shifting and pulsing, as if testing its limits. For a brief moment, Jorek and Selena could breathe. The child buried his face in Jorek's armored chest, his small hands clutching at his scales. "It won't stop," the boy whispered, his voice barely audible over the humming energy shield. "It doesn't stop." Selena's mind raced. She had fought countless battles, commanded fleets, conquered entire systems, but she had never faced something like this. It wasn't a creature that could be shot or stabbed. It didn't belong to any database. It wasn't even alive. At least not in the way she understood life. Jorek's grip on his plasma blade tightened. His kind had stories, old legends of things that existed in the dark spaces between the stars, things that even warlords feared to speak of. But he had never believed them. He was a warrior, not a child who trembled at ghost stories. The child's grip on him tightened. It came when the ship crashed, he said, his voice trembling. It was in the cargo. They didn't know. They didn't know what they had. Selena's eyes widened. What did they bring? The boy shook his head, unable to answer, but the fear in his face said enough. Whatever the ship had been carrying, it had been a mistake that was now hunting them. The shield flickered. Selena cursed. It wasn't designed to hold against something like this. They needed a plan, and they needed one fast. Jorek glanced at Selena. For the first time, there was no war between them, no conflict of species, no reason to hate each other. There was only survival. We run, Jorek growled. And we don't stop. Selena nodded. The child held onto them as they turned, sprinting deeper into the ruins, away from the thing that should not exist. Behind them, the shadows moved. The thing followed. It was patient. It had all the time in the universe, and it was hungry. The ruins stretched endlessly before them, ancient structures crumbling beneath the weight of time. The wind howled through the broken stone, carrying whispers of forgotten voices. Jorek ran with the child in his arms, his powerful legs propelling them forward. Selena was right beside him, her breathing controlled, her movements precise. But they both knew the truth. Running wouldn't save them. The thing in the shadows wasn't just chasing them. It was playing with them. Jorek's warrior instincts screamed at him. Every battle he had fought had rules, even the bloodiest wars. Even the cruelest enemies followed logic. But this thing, it followed nothing. It was not bound by hunger or fear. It did not grow tired. It did not hesitate. It did not stop. Selena activated her wrist communicator, trying to send a distress signal. Static greeted her. "It's blocking transmissions," she muttered. "Whatever it is, it's aware of us." The child whimpered in Jorek's arms. His small fingers gripped the warrior's armor as if letting go would doom him. His eyes, wide with terror, darted around the ruins, looking for something unseen. Jorek stopped. His reptilian eyes narrowed as he sniffed the air. Something had changed. The air was heavier, thicker, like the moment before a storm. His claws flexed involuntarily. Selena noticed it too. "Why did you stop?" she asked. Jorek didn't answer immediately. His body tensed. "It's already here." The shadows around them deepened. The light of the twin moons above flickered, as if something immense had passed between them and the sky. Selena slowly reached for her weapon. Jorek adjusted his grip on the child. Then, a whisper. Not a sound, not a voice, but something that slithered into their minds. A presence. It did not speak in words. It was a feeling. A slow, creeping touch against their thoughts, a sensation of something watching from just beyond the veil of reality. The child gasped, his tiny body trembling. "It's inside." Jorek's blood ran cold. Inside what? The boy's eyes filled with tears. He clutched his head, shaking. Inside everything. The ruins groaned. The stones cracked. The very ground beneath their feet trembled, as if something vast and unseen had begun to awaken. Selena grabbed Jorek's arm. "We have to move." Jorek hesitated. He was not a creature of fear. He had faced death more times than he could count. But this was not death. This was something far worse. Then the first tendril emerged. It did not slither. It did not creep. It simply appeared. A shifting mass of darkness, coiling in ways the mind refused to understand. Another followed, then another. Selena fired her pulse rifle. The energy blast struck the tendril and vanished, swallowed by the abyss itself. No sound, no resistance. It was as if the very concept of force had ceased to exist where the tendril touched. Jorek growled. "Weapons are useless." Selena gritted her teeth. "Then what do you suggest?" The child lifted his head. His voice was barely above a whisper. "You can't fight it." Jorak looked down at him. "Then what do we do?" The boy's eyes were distant, unfocused, as if something else was speaking through him. "You have to leave." Jorak's tail flicked. "That's what we've been trying to do." The boy shook his head. "Not that way. You have to leave here. This place. This world." Selena's breath caught. "You're saying it won't stop until—" The ruins trembled violently. The air itself seemed to waver, distorting like a heat mirage. More tendrils emerged, twisting in the empty space around them. The entity was no longer waiting. Jorak met Selena's eyes. There was no argument left. No hesitation. Survival had only one path. "Find a ship," Jorak said. Selena nodded. "And pray we're fast enough." With that, they turned and ran, the child's quiet sobs the only sound as the nightmare closed in around them. The corridors of the abandoned station stretched endlessly, their metal walls covered in ancient scorch marks and forgotten symbols. The lights flickered, casting long, trembling shadows. Jorak moved first, his heavy boots silent despite his size. Selena followed closely, her grip on her weapon firm. The child clung to Jorak's side, his small fingers digging into the warrior's armor as if afraid he might vanish. Behind them, the station groaned, as though waking from a deep slumber. But Jorak knew the truth. It wasn't the station that was alive. It was the thing inside it. Selena activated her scanner. The display flickered with static before stabilizing. "There's a hangar up ahead. One ship left." Jorak exhaled sharply. "Is it operational?" Selena adjusted the scanner. "Hard to tell. But it's our only chance." The child whimpered. "It won't let us leave." Jorak glanced down. "Who?" The boy's voice was small, distant. "The voice. It doesn't speak with words. But I hear it." Selena tightened her jaw. "We're getting out of here, no matter what's waiting for us." Jorak moved faster. His instinct screamed that time was slipping away. The entity, the thing that had been hunting them, twisting reality itself, was growing stronger. The air felt heavier, thick with an unnatural pressure. Each step felt like walking through water. Then, ahead of them, the corridor darkened, not with shadow, but with something worse. The light did not fade, it was consumed. The edges of the metal walls warped as if something immense pressed against them from the other side. Selena stopped. "Jorak." He raised his weapon. But he already knew guns were useless. He had seen energy weapons disappear into nothing, seen solid matter shift as though reality itself had been rewritten. The darkness ahead moved. It pulsed, shuddered, and then a shape formed, tall, impossibly thin, with eyes that did not glow but swallowed light. It was not a body, not in the way living things had bodies. It was a suggestion of a form, shifting in ways the mind could not fully understand. The voice returned, not sound, but pressure against their skulls. "You do not belong here." Jorak felt his claws flex involuntarily. Selena's breath hitched. The child trembled. The entity did not move closer. It did not need to. The space between them was already shrinking, folding in on itself. The station, the walls, the universe itself felt like it was bending, warping under its will. Jorak spoke first. "Let us leave." The entity did not answer, not in words, but the pressure grew. Selena clenched her fists. "You have no right to keep us here." This time, the answer was clearer, not words, but an idea forced into their minds. "You misunderstand. I am not keeping you here. You were never meant to leave." The corridor behind them twisted. The metal groaned, walls stretching as if they were no longer solid but something soft and pliable. The station was shifting. No, not shifting. Changing. Jorak tightened his grip on the child. His instincts screamed at him. They had moments before this place, this reality, became something else. Selena made a decision. Run. Jorek did not argue. He turned and bolted. The station distorted around them, the corridors stretching, looping in impossible ways. What had once been a straight path to the hangar now twisted, pulling them in circles. Selina gritted her teeth. It's changing the station. It doesn't want us to reach the ship. The child gasped. No, it wants us to stop trying. Jorek didn't slow down. Then we don't stop. He pushed forward, refusing to let the shifting walls disorient him. He forced his mind to ignore the impossibilities, the way doors moved when they weren't looking, the way walls melted into new pathways. The entity was playing with them, bending their perception. Then suddenly, an open space. The hangar. Jorek stumbled forward. Selina was right behind him. The ship was there, resting on its landing gear, its metal frame covered in dust. It was old, outdated, but intact. A miracle. Selina sprinted toward it. We just need tow. The hangar doors slammed shut. Jorek spun around. The entity was here. No longer hidden in the corridors. No longer distant. It stood in the center of the hangar, its form towering, stretching toward the ceiling. The voice pressed into their minds. You were never supposed to leave. The child whimpered. Selina raised her weapon, knowing it was useless but unwilling to surrender. Then you should have killed us earlier. Jorek bared his teeth. Because now, we're leaving. The ship's engines hummed to life. Selina had already activated the controls remotely. They had seconds. The entity pulsed. The air around them shattered like glass, revealing something vast, something endless beyond the walls of the station. The child screamed. Jorek grabbed him and leaped onto the ship's ramp. Selina followed. The moment they hit the controls, the ship roared, its thrusters igniting. The entity surged forward, but the ship launched. Jorek didn't look back. He kept his eyes forward as they broke free from the hangar, from the station, from the nightmare. The child's sobs quieted. The presence in their minds faded. For now, the stars stretched endlessly before them, cold and indifferent. The ship's engines hummed softly, a stark contrast to the chaos they had just escaped. Jorek sat against the bulkhead, his claws gripping his knees. His breathing was heavy, his mind struggling to process everything that had just happened. Selina was at the controls, her fingers moving across the panel, checking their course, ensuring nothing was following them. The child sat between them, silent, staring at his hands as if they held answers. For a long time, no one spoke. The silence was heavy, filled with unspoken fears and unanswered questions. Then, finally, Selina exhaled. We made it, she said. Her voice was steady, but there was tension beneath it. Jorek nodded slowly. For now. The child didn't react. He kept staring at his hands, his small fingers twitching slightly, as if he could still feel the presence that had invaded his mind. Selina turned in her seat. Hey, kid. We're safe. It's over. The child didn't look up. Jorek leaned forward. What's wrong? The child finally raised his eyes. They were darker than before, as if the thing they had escaped had left a mark deep inside him. It's not over, he whispered. A chill ran down Jorek's spine. Selina frowned. Kid, we're in deep space. There's no way that thing followed us. The child shook his head. It doesn't need to follow. It's already here. Jorek exchanged a glance with Selina. His warrior instincts, sharpened over decades of battle, told him the child wasn't lying. Something was wrong. Selina checked the ship's sensors. There's nothing around us. No ships. No anomalies. We're clear. The child clenched his fists. You don't understand. It's inside me. Jorek's stomach dropped. Selina stiffened. What do you mean? The boy shivered. I can still hear it. It's whispering. It's waiting. Jorek's mind raced. They had escaped. The entity had been trapped in that station, unable to follow them, hadn't it? Selina moved closer. Kid, listen to me. What is it saying? The boy hesitated. Then his voice dropped to a whisper. It's asking me where we're going. The ship's lights flickered. Jorek and Selena snapped to attention. The engines let out a strained hum, as if something had brushed against them. Selena's hands flew over the controls. No, 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 no. This isn't happening. Jorek stood, scanning the room. His claws flexed, though he knew they were useless against something like this. The child wrapped his arms around himself. It's here. The ship groaned. The walls trembled. The shadows in the corners of the room stretched unnaturally. Jorek pulled the child close. Selena. Selena's fingers moved frantically. There's nothing on the scanners. Nothing outside. But she stopped. Her hands hovered over the controls. Her breath hitched. Jorek moved beside her. What? She pointed at the screen. The ship's navigation system had changed. Their destination had been altered. They were no longer heading toward the safe zone where allies waited. The coordinates had shifted. To nowhere. A blank space. No systems. No planets. Just an empty void. Something was controlling the ship. Selena's voice was barely above a whisper. It's taking us somewhere. Jorek bared his teeth. Not if I can help it. He stormed toward the manual override panel, claws unsheathing. But the moment he reached for the controls, the room shuddered. The shadows deepened, and a voice, cold and eternal, pressed into their minds. You were never meant to leave. The child screamed. The ship drifted through the void, its engines humming softly, but the air inside was thick with tension. Jorek kept his claws flexed, his senses sharp. Selena's hands moved quickly over the controls, her breath short and shaky. The child sat between them, eyes wide with terror. The whispering voice had gone silent, but its presence still lingered, heavy and inescapable. Selena tried to override the ship's navigation again, but every attempt failed. The coordinates remained locked, leading them deeper into the unknown. She slammed her fist against the console. This thing won't let go. Jorek growled. Then we make it let go. The child shuddered. It doesn't want to hurt us, he said softly. Not yet. Jorek crouched in front of him. Then what does it want? The child hesitated, his fingers curling into his sleeves. It wants to show us something. Selena's breath hitched. No, I don't care what it wants. We're getting out of here. She turned to the emergency override panel and reached for the manual system reset. The moment her fingers touched it, the lights flickered. The ship trembled. A deep groan echoed through the metal walls. Then, the darkness moved. The shadows in the corners of the room stretched unnaturally, crawling toward them like living tendrils. Jorek pulled the child back, his claws unsheathing. Selena staggered away from the console as the darkness coiled around it. The lights overhead pulsed weakly before dimming to a deep red glow. The whisper returned, louder this time, filling their minds with an unbearable pressure. You must see. The ship lurched. The stars outside warped and twisted. The blackness beyond the windows shifted, revealing something vast and ancient. A structure loomed in the distance, larger than any planet Jorek had ever seen. It was not made of metal or stone, but something else, something alive. Its surface pulsed like the skin of a great beast, and at its core was an enormous black eye, gazing at them with an unfathomable intelligence. Jorek felt his chest tighten. This wasn't just a place. It was something that had been waiting. Selena's voice was hoarse. What is that? The child whimpered. The heart of the void. The ship accelerated toward it, drawn in by an unseen force. No matter how hard Selena fought the controls, they were trapped. Jorek could feel it now. A presence watching, studying, deciding. A deep voice, older than time itself, rumbled through their minds. You have wandered too far. Now you will understand. The ship passed through a veil of black mist, and for the first time in his life, Jorek felt true fear.